Yippee from the Phat Guys at the movies. Oliver.
Ken.
Hey, good. We know each other.
Yeah, we got each other's name right.
We're at Frank Theaters in Conway, South Carolina, and we just got through watching the 10 o'clock Wednesday night. Wednesday night,
right.
Pre-Valentine's Day. Yeah, I've been calling it Thanksgiving's Day. I guess it's because it's on a Thursday. I don't know.
You know, and this is a what normally comes out on Wednesdays? Twilights?
No. Usually Wednesday's usually just kind of a dull night, unless if Christmas falls on a Wednesday or something like that. Wednesday's usually not an opening night.
Not a very exciting night around movie theaters.
Yeah. It's usually probably one of the slowest of the week, as a matter of fact.
Right, but they were hoping to change that when they released the next Die Hard movie on a Wednesday night.
And it's called A Good Day to Die Hard. Now, personally, when I heard that Bruce Willis was going to do another Die Hard, I like the Die Hard franchise. I will say that without reservation. Love the Die Hard franchise. And his reasoning for doing another Die Hard was he wanted to do another one before it was too late. So I think they should have called it Die Hard While You Still Can. But
I would have been down with that. I actually like that title. I like yours better than theirs, actually. But I will admit that as I am very picky when it comes to movies. My wife gets on me all the time. She's very picky when I get to movies.
Oh, about movies, too.
Yeah, about movies. About movies. She gets on me because I'm too picky about movies. I will say that even the lesser Die Hard movies are still, to me, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Even though, the first one, like I said, was classic. The second one, but you know what? He still has the humor in it. It had the action. I can
Die Hard with a Vengeance was probably the weakest of the...
Not so much.
Yeah, but then he came back with Live Free and Die Hard.
With the Apple Kid.
With the Apple Kid.
Right.
And they brought his daughter into it, and it was really a very good movie. It was probably, I put it up there as the number 2 in the franchise.
It probably was the second best. Die Hard 2 was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But it was watchable.
Yeah.
It was watchable.
And it had Fred Thompson in it.
Had Fred Thompson, had an East German bad guy. What else do you need for an 80s action flick, right?
Right. So we're going to review A Good Day to Die Hard. Bruce Willis is back with A Good Day to Die Hard. Now, this is number 5 in the franchise, and I gotta admit, it's probably the weakest of all 5. He did something different in this one. This is the first time he was out of the United States. The gist of the story is that his son supposedly got into some sort of trouble, and you see it at the beginning of the movie, and he and his son are on the outs, which is normal for John McClane, because John McClane is always on the out with somebody. In the last movie, he was on the out with his daughter. In the first 3 movies, he was on the outs with his wife. But this time he's on the outs with his son. He and his son don't have a good relationship, but hey, it's his kid, and he's got to go rescue him, find out what's going on. Well, he gets over there and finds out his son is a CIA operative, and this is a big CIA thing. And guess who blows the operation? John McClane. But I'll tell you this, although of all of the action movies that have come out this year, we're talking about Parker, Bullet to the Head, and The Last Stand with the rest of the Expendables crew, this one had the most action, and it had some really good action sequences in it. A lot of hard driving thing with a couple things with a helicopter. It had some really good action sequences. A lot of jumping out of buildings, a lot of diving through windows. Great action sequences, but the storyline was really choppy. And I'll tell you what I missed more than anything else. I miss the sarcastic, pain in the butt guy you love to hate, John McClane. Because he lost his sarcasm in this movie. He was trying so hard to be a good daddy that he forgot to be John McClane. This is one of the most iconic figures in motion picture history, and John McClane was missing out of this movie in some respects. So I'm going to have to go with a solid, I'll give it 2.5 because it is a Die Hard, and it had some great action sequences, but the story was weak, and honestly, this is the worst John McClane representation that Bruce Willis has done since the franchise started. But hey, it was good to see John McClane back on the screen.
Coming into this movie, I really didn't know what to expect. I expected a lot of action. We definitely got that right from the start. I think this movie went into 7-8 minutes. And it was explosions down the road, walls blowing up in a courtroom, and the chase was on. Unfortunately, like Ken said, there was no story here. We don't know how John McClane's son became a CIA operative. We don't know what John McClane's been doing for the last 10 years. We don't know anything about these people. Unfortunately, what happens in this movie is that John McClane is an older man who's lost his sense of humor completely. There wasn't one good joke. Finally, at the end of the movie, he says the yippee-ki-yay, yada, yada, yada. He does do that, but you barely hear it and he barely says it. Poor acting job by Bruce Willis. It was not like his other die-hard acting jobs. And there may have been a reason for that. He may have been trying to downplay himself to kind of prop up his son, who is the other actor in it. But the only thing we get out of him is some blind anger and running around. I'm really not impressed with the acting job and a lot of people in this movie. And it felt like a movie that was very rushed, very put together, very choppy, and the cinematography was absolutely a mess in early chase sequences. It got better in the action sequences midway through the movie, a lot better. The early chase, though, it almost looks like Ben-Hur on Pan and Scan. If you've ever seen that and what a wreck it is, that was the chase sequence in the beginning of the movie, was when they took Ben-Hur from that 235 film and they chopped it for formatted TV, for 1331 TVs. And the Pan and Scan, if you've ever seen that on TBS, that will remind you of what this chase scene looked like, the chariot scene on Pan and Scan had been her.
This film has been formatted to fit your screen.
Yes, I felt that way watching that. Now, halfway through it, it got better. A lot of handheld camera use and not very good handheld camera use. That's half of the problem with this movie.
Kind of like this?
Kind of like that, Ken. Right, like that, right there. A whole lot of that, and it's way too shaky. A little bit's good, too much drives you nuts. I'm going to give this movie 1 out of 5. I'm going to be very critical of this movie because it is so short, it has no story. I mean, I think, what we here, an hour 25?
Hour and 36.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
The actual movie lasted a whole hour 36?
Hour and 36.
It felt really fast. I don't want to give it as much as the Stallone movie because I think the Stallone movie I think the way they filmed it was a lot better, but I do want to give it some recognition. It is Die Hard, I guess. But I'm only going to give it 1 out of 5. They could have put an extra 30, 40 minutes in this movie, gave it a story, let the actors have some personality. It would have been a heck of a lot better. Do not waste your time. Red box this one. Red box this one.
Well, this is the farthest apart we've been in all of the movie reviews. You had a 1, I had a 2.5.
I'm very disappointed in this movie. I mean,
I was expecting a lot more. I
was expecting a whole lot more. And the worst part of this movie for me was the lack of humor out of Bruce Willis's character and the lack of personality. What did this director do to him?
Yeah.
To where he didn't because that makes the Die Hard movies.
Yeah, and most of the time he played second fiddle to his son.
And the guy was not really a good actor. It's not like the guy was stealing the show.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Okay, so we got a 1 from here and a 2.5 from here. So I guess that balances out what, to a 2?
Out of 2, balances out about a 2.
So, but it is John McClane and it is Bruce Willis. I hope that he doesn't end the franchise with this one. I'd like to see him come back with another one and get back to the mold that we're used to seeing.
I think it's very telling that this is a Die Hard movie for the first time that has not been released in either the summer or Christmas.
Right.
It's been released in February. So I think that tells a lot about what the movie company itself thought of this movie.
Yeah.
Because every Die Hard comes out when? Summer or Christmas.
Right.
The big movie times.
This seems to be action movie January and February.
But is it really good action movie January, February?
Yeah, that's where.
I mean, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie was decent. We like that.
But so far, all of the action movies prior to Die Hard have flopped at the box office.
Whereas last week we did Identity Thief.
And it did $36 million.
And it was an awful movie. It's awful.
$36 million.
And we can't figure that
biggest box office of the year so far, so you can't knock it.
Well, I put it this way. That first weekend, they probably made a profit because that movie was probably made 30 mil.
Yeah. Now, next week, guess what? Another action movie.
Oh,
this time, it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but it does have a pretty good supporting cast. It's got Susan Sarandon. It's got, for those of you who like Susan Sarandon, it's got Barry Pepper. I like Barry Pepper.
Benjamin Bratt.
Returning to the screen. He hasn't been in a movie, for about a decade?
Didn't he do a Law and Order thing for a while?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the big screen.
Well, Law and Order, everybody watches that.
But next week is Snitch, where it looks like Dwayne Johnson's going to help his son out, who's been arrested for something that he isn't involved in.
Do you think we're going to hear the phrase? Do you smell what the snitch is cooking?
Yeah. Or could
now, I would die laughing if I saw that in this
or
movie.
Lilo and Snitch.
Yeah. I mean, if I hear The Rock do his thing in that movie, I would literally fall in the aisle. But
Yeah.
we're going to see Snitch, which looks like from the previews.
Looks solid.
It looks like it'll be solid.
Yeah.
We're hoping. I'm really looking forward to some of these action movies dying now because I know G.I. Joe's coming soon,
it's
and
coming up
I'm
next
really
month.
not a big fan of the first G.I. Joe.
You know what the irony of this would be?
What's that?
Is if Snitch does the best at the box office and Snitch has the best reviews, and here's Dwayne Johnson, fairly new to the action genre.
Is he really new to it now?
Well, comparatively, when you're thinking about the '80s icons like Willis, Schwarzenegger,
well, that's just
Statham,
because
and
the old timers
Stallone.
have been doing their thing.
Yeah,
you know,
but
I mean,
it would be kind of ironic that he had the best movie if he had the best movie that came out.
I could see it though.
Yeah,
I could see it because he's more of a fresh new actor. Whereas, I mean, with these old timers doing these movies, and you know, I don't mean to disparage them or anything, but these guys are 50, 60 years old guys.
Yeah.
And they've been in the movie business 30 plus years.
Dwayne Johnson's what, late 30s?
With these
about
old
40?
timers, I mean, let's be honest with you. With Stallone, Schwarzenegger, with Willis, what do we really do? We're scraping the bottom of the coffin here, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we really are. This
Yeah.
is the last hurrah for these
Yeah.
guys. So
The Last Stand. Yeah.
It is the last stand, right?
So next week, don't tell anybody, but we're doing Snitch.
There you go.
So until then, this is Phat Guys of the Movies. I'm Ken.
I'm Oliver.
See you later.